Hey, my name is Susan Autry, and I am here to show you the Mooresville Museum. But before I can do that, I wanted to give you a little context. So I'm standing beside the Mooresville Depot, and this is where the town of Mooresville started. In 1856, a man named John Moore gave a little piece of land because there was a railroad track running from Statesville, North Carolina to Charlotte, and they needed a little area where they could have an in-between. And John Moore gave this piece of land, and they built a depot here, and this was where the depot original site was. It's been rebuilt about 7 times, and the town of Mooresville grew up around it. And so the Mooresville Museum exists now to show the history of that place, and we're going to go tour it in just a minute. But I wanted to show you the beautiful town of Mooresville first and where it all came about. So John Moore gave this land in 1856. The town of Mooresville was incorporated in 1873, and here we are, and I'm going to take you to the museum next. So let's go and we'll check it out. Okay, we're inside the Mooresville Museum, and I'm going to show you around. There's several rooms in here. This building is very old. It was built in the early 1920s, and it was actually a lumber building where the original owners, the Barger brothers, used it for bringing in lumber, and they would sell it and move it out themselves. And then in 1937, Charles Mack bought it and used it for a wholesale business, and he sold all sorts of goodies, from tobacco to candy to anything you could think of, canned goods. They owned it for the majority of the 20th century, and Charles Mack had several sons. He is a very well-known name in this town, and they kept it for years and years and years. And when they sold it to a Charlotte company for a brief time, and then one of his sons bought it back and bought it actually for the town. Gave it to the town, and then decided to give it to the town for use as the Mooresville History Museum. And so that's what they use it for today. So as it is in this current state, they do not pay for water or electric use. The town gives this museum about $21,000 a year, and they function making money from donations. They do things like sell t-shirts. Mooresville is known as Race City. If you didn't know that, we are the home of NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Are from here, and if you look up, we have lots of other NASCAR drivers in this town as well. We have lots of famous other things that I'm going to show you as we go through the museum, but we put them all on display here proudly as well. So we're going to take a tour, and I'll show you all the great things Mooresville has to offer. One of the ways that the museum makes money every year is they also have activities that they do with the town of Mooresville. And they also do every year a specific type of Christmas ornament. So this was the 2024 Port City. We're called the Port City in Mooresville because there's a lake near here. And every year they do a different design, and they sell these and try to make money, and all the proceeds go to the museum, of course. And so Port City, it's a lake and a sailboat, and this is what they do to bring in money as well. I also want to draw your attention to one of the big things we're really proud of. So if you've ever heard of Selma Burke, this is an image of her, and of course this is Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt. This picture down here, you might notice, if you've ever looked on one of your dimes, you might see this image of Franklin Roosevelt. Selma Burke was born right down here on a street right behind us in Mooresville, and Selma Burke was also the one who is credited with, now if you look it up, it may not say it, it might say another person's name, but there's a little contention whether she did the image that is on the dime or another man did it. But we're going to go that she did it. So the image right here, and there she is with the image too, and there she is, of course, with the Roosevelts. So if you have a dime, look at it, and we're going to go with the fact that she did it as well. Right back behind me, we have some pictures as well of President Obama. He came in 2013 and visited Mooresville and met with some of our students, and we're really proud of that too. And throughout our museum, we have lots of examples of yearbooks, old yearbooks, and we also have, of course, the marching band and the cheerleading outfits that any museum would have. And on over here, we have lots of examples of pictures and paintings. We have one of our beloved Mr. Smalley. He was one of our principals at one of our schools. And coming on around, it's hard to see, this beautiful Charles Mack from his wholesale store cash register. And so it sits as one of the most valuable pieces here. It is amazing. And so remember, he opened his store in 1937, and throughout most of the 20th century, it was used as part of that store. And so when the museum opened, they moved into this building in 2007 completely, and this became one of the, masterpieces of the museum itself. And so when visitors and guests come through, they get to see what it actually looked like, a little bit of what it was when Charles Mack ran his wholesale store. So it's absolutely beautiful to see. So we're in a different room here, and there's a lot of history that goes back to the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. Mooresville has sent a lot of soldiers away. One of the things that's really interesting too is the railroad track that started it all also was torn up in 1864, and some of it was sent away. Of course, they did that with a lot of railroad tracks, but we also have authentic things. We even have, of course, artillery that was found in the area. We have some of our soldiers' pictures that are hanging up here, and we have all sorts of things from both wars. We are in North Carolina, so we saw a lot of battles and a lot of death that came from both wars in this area as well. And if you glance over on this side, if you're not from this area, you do not know about deluxe ice cream, but around here, this was one of the most important things growing up because we all ate deluxe ice cream. It was made right here in Mooresville, North Carolina. It's now sold throughout Mecklenburg County and surrounding areas, and it is one of the best ice creams you will ever have. And these are all in this cabinet, all of the different containers that it was made from, but it is by far the best ice cream you'll ever put in your mouth. And so we also have a whole display here for the Mooresville Moors. They went to their league's World Series in 1952, and unfortunately 1953 was the first year it was televised, and so they didn't get on TV, but there's a whole display, lots of pictures of them. And we also have Hoyt Wilhelm, his card in here. He went to the Baseball Hall of Fame and got inducted there, and he played for the Moors as well. So we have a little national hero as well in the display case too. So just to give you an idea, I'm in a massive room, and this is the rest of the museum. We have so much stuff that just fills this room, and we have an entire upstairs that is completely available to us as well. We're waiting for renovation funds to do more that will build this thing out even bigger than it is now, and we certainly have the artifacts to fill it as well. And so when I say we because I'm on the board of directors here and hope to see much more done in the near future. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of Mooresville Museum in Mooresville, North Carolina. And anytime you want to stop by, we'll be glad to give you a tour of the town. So come on down and see us.